Welcome back to our World Cup knockout coverage. What we just witnessed in Toronto was not simply a game of football. It was an instant, heart-stopping World Cup epic. Two European heavyweights collided with everything on the line, fighting for a single precious ticket to the round of 16. It was a match filled with emotional peaks, agonizing valleys, and a dramatic screenplay that even the most imaginative Hollywood writers couldn't have put together. Portugal entered this high-stakes knockout clash, shoulder-bearing the weight of enormous pressure. Their group stage campaign had been inconsistent and turbulent, leaving fans and pundits skeptical about their tactical cohesion. On the completely opposite end of the spectrum, Croatia arrived in Toronto flying high, radiating confidence after consecutive and convincing group stage victories over Panama and Ghana. With a formidable Spanish side already qualified and waiting patiently in the round of 16, both teams took to the pitch, knowing that any lapse in concentration would mean the immediate end of their World Cup dreams. There was no safety net, no second chances, only victory would suffice. From the moment the opening whistle echoed through the stadium, the electric intensity of the match was plain for all to see. Neither side wasted a single second feeling out their opponent. Instead, they immediately traded heavy blows in a relentless, lung-bursting opening sequence. Croatia threw down the first gauntlet. Striker Ante Budimir found a pocket of space inside the box and unleashed a sharp effort, forcing Portuguese goalkeeper Diogo Costa into an uncomfortable diving save early on. Portugal, unfazed by the early scare, manufactured an instant response. Rafael Leao exploded down the left flank with his signature raw power, leaving his marker trailing before cutting a precise ball back into the path of Bruno Fernandes. Fernandes met it cleanly, sending a venomous, roaring strike toward the upper corner, but a spectacular, acrobatic intervention from Dominik Livakovic denied him. The opening exchanges set a relentless, breathless pace. Neither team showed even the slightest willingness to sit back or adopt a conservative low block. Instead, the game flowed beautifully from end to end, dictated by crisp passing and intense physical duels. As the minutes ticked on, however, Portugal's technical quality began to assert itself. They gradually established firm control over the game's rhythm through extended periods of possession. In the engine room, João Neves and Vitinha operated with supreme maturity, recycling the ball cleanly and dictating the tempo of play to starve Croatia of possession. This solid defensive and structural foundation allowed Bruno Fernandes the freedom to roam creatively. He constantly drifted between Croatia's midfield line and defensive back four, looking for any pocket of space to exploit. On the right flank, João Cancelo acted as a dangerous offensive outlet, repeatedly surging forward from his right-back position to create numerical overloads. Over on the left, Rafael Leao was a constant, terrifying menace, using his explosive acceleration to stretch the Croatian defense to its absolute limits. Amid this tactical battle, history was quietly rewritten on the Toronto turf. At 41 years old, Cristiano Ronaldo became the first player ever to appear in a World Cup knockout match at that age. The legendary forward looked deeply determined to leave an indelible mark on the contest. He moved with intense hunger, tracking every ball and demanding service. Several dangerous, inviting crosses flashed agonizingly across the 6-yard box, but the breakthrough remained elusive. Neither Ronaldo nor Fernandes could quite apply the necessary, clinical finishing touch to break the deadlock. Croatia, fully aware of the storm they were weathering, defended with impeccable discipline. Their veteran midfield, marshaled by the ageless Luka Modric, alongside Mateo Kovacic and Martin Baturina, maintained tight lines and closed down central passing lanes. They were patient, meticulously waiting for the right moment to hit Portugal on the counterattack. Yet Portugal kept up the relentless pressure as the first half drew to a close. Fernandes continued to act as the primary creative hub, forcing another outstanding full-stretch save from the brilliant Livakovic. Soon after, Renato Veiga, João Neves, and Rafael Leao all found themselves with sight of goal, coming agonizingly close to finding the back of the net before the halftime whistle. By the time the referee signaled the end of the first half, Portugal had completely dominated the statistical narrative. They controlled the vast majority of the attacking play and generated nearly one expected goal, XG. Despite the relentless waves of Portuguese pressure, Croatia somehow survived, showing the world the legendary resilience that has defined their footballing history. The teams entered the tunnel level at 0-0, though neutral observers agreed that Portugal looked the far more likely side to eventually shatter the equilibrium. The second half began, but the narrative shifted completely. Croatia emerged from the tunnel with renewed belief and a distinctly aggressive posture, largely sparked by a masterstroke of an adjustment from manager Zlatko Dalic. He introduced Igor Matanovic into the fray, and the forward's immense physical presence and hold-up play instantly transformed the dynamic of the Croatian attack. Suddenly, Portugal's center-backs had a massive physical handful to contend with. Within minutes of the restart, the shift in momentum was obvious. Kovacic drove forward aggressively from midfield and unleashed a powerful shot, forcing Diogo Costa into another excellent fingertip save. Moments later, Nikola Vlasic found space on the edge of the area and fired a low effort that went narrowly wide of the target. Portugal, who had looked so composed in the first half, suddenly appeared rattled, disorganized, and unsettled by Croatia's high press and physical directness. Croatia's newfound dominance found its reward in the 53rd minute. Josip Stanisic found space on the right wing and delivered an absolutely magnificent teasing cross into the heart of the penalty box. Matanovic used his physical frame to hold off his marker, cleverly flicking the ball toward the far post. Ivan Perisic read the flight of the ball perfectly. The veteran winger controlled it with incredible composure before drilling a clinical low finish beyond the despairing dive of Diogo Costa. The Croatian fans erupted as their team took a well-deserved 1-0 lead. Stung by the goal, Portugal attempted to mount an immediate response, but their defensive vulnerability in transition almost cost them dearly. Croatia launched a rapid counterattack, and Matanovic found the back of the net with a clinical finish. For a moment, it looked like Croatia had doubled their lead, but the assistant referee's flag went up, rescuing Portugal via a tight offside call. Moments later, the action swung back to the other end of the pitch. Rafael Leao came within mere inches of pulling his country level, cutting inside onto his right foot and unleashing a magnificent curling effort that beat Livakovic but crashed violently against the crossbar. The match was now being played at a frantic, breathless pace. Immediately after Leao's near miss, Croatia transitioned downfield, where Petar Sucic unleashed a venomous strike that forced yet another world-class save from Diogo Costa to keep Portugal alive. Realizing that his team's World Cup dreams were actively slipping away, Roberto Martinez made a dramatic, high-stakes tactical gamble. In an unprecedented move at this level of competition, the Portuguese manager executed 4 attacking substitutions all at once. He introduced Bernardo Silva, Francisco Conceição, Gonçalo Ramos, and Nelson Semedo into the match. The radical changes instantly altered the gravity of the contest, injecting fresh energy and furious urgency into Portugal's play. They poured forward in droves, pinning Croatia deep inside their own defensive third. Their frantic persistence was rewarded in dramatic fashion. During a heated corner kick melee, the video assistant referee VAR spotted Nikola Vlasic pulling the shirt of Renato Veiga inside the penalty area. After a tense, agonizing pitch-side review at the monitor, the referee returned to the pitch and pointed firmly to the penalty spot. Up stepped Cristiano Ronaldo. The pressure resting on his shoulders was unimaginable. The weight of a nation and the eyes of the entire world were fixed upon him. He took a deep breath, strode forward, and calmly blasted his effort straight down the middle of the goal. The net bulged, and history was made yet again. This was Ronaldo's very first goal in a World Cup knockout match, finally conquering one of the very few records missing from his legendary, unmatched career. The equalizer leveled the score at 1-1 and completely transformed the match into an absolute war of attrition. Croatia refused to retreat into a defensive shell. They went right back on the attack, with Kovacic striking the post from distance with a thunderous effort before Diogo Costa somehow produced a spectacular, reflexive save on the subsequent rebound. Moments later, the ever-dangerous Luka Modric delivered another brilliant pinpoint cross into the box, where Mario Pasalic met it with a powerful header that flew narrowly wide of the post. Portugal answered with their own attacking salvos, pushing forward relentlessly through the explosive Leão and the energetic Conceição. The drama escalated further as the clock ticked toward the end of normal time. Ronaldo believed he had completed a historic comeback when he finished a cross from João Cancelo, but the linesman's flag instantly cut the celebrations short due to an extremely tight offside decision. Not to be outdone in the heartbreak department, Croatia also had a goal disallowed just moments later. Petar Sucic raced through on goal and finished with immense confidence, only for the assistant referee's flag to deny him what would have been a late winner. As profound physical fatigue set in, the tactical structures dissolved, and the match became increasingly chaotic, wild, and unpredictable. Croatia relied heavily on Matanovic's aerial dominance, while Portugal looked to exploit Leão's blistering pace on the counterattack. With normal time almost over, Roberto Martinez made the emotional and highly significant decision to substitute Cristiano Ronaldo, drawing a thunderous ovation for what might potentially be the final World Cup appearance of one of football's greatest icons. The fourth official held up the board to reveal 10 minutes of stoppage time, ensuring there would be one final dramatic chapter to this incredible story. Croatia missed a glorious golden opportunity to win it when Mario Pasalic found himself completely unmarked from another superb Modric pass, only to head agonizingly wide of the target. Portugal punished that profligacy moments later with clinical, devastating precision. Renato Veiga showed brilliant vision to spot Leão racing into open space down the left wing. The winger took a touch and delivered a sensational, curling cross into the heart of the penalty box. Gonçalo Ramos timed his leap to absolute perfection, rising high between 2 Croatian defenders before powering a magnificent header into the top corner. Portugal had snatched a dramatic 2-1 lead deep into stoppage time. The stadium in Toronto erupted into pure, unadulterated chaos as the Portuguese players celebrated what seemed destined to be the match-winning goal. Yet, true to their identity, Croatia absolutely refused to surrender. They threw everyone forward, including their defenders, for one final desperate launch into the box. Ivan Perisic launched a hopeful cross into the mixer. Matanovic managed the slightest of flicks, and Mario Pasalic became heavily involved at the far post, keeping the ball alive. The ball dropped perfectly to Joško Gvardiol, who smashed it home from close range, sparking wild, unbridled celebrations on the pitch and in the stands. Croatia believed they had rescued an extraordinary, miraculous equalizer at the death. However, the drama had one final cruel twist in store, as VAR once again became the absolute center of attention. After several agonizing quiet minutes of meticulous review, the video officials ruled that Matanovic's microscopic touch had inadvertently placed Pasalic in an offside position just before Gvardiol scored. The goal was officially disallowed. The decision completely crushed Croatia's hopes, triggering furious, desperate protests from the players and supporters alike. Moments later, the final whistle blew, confirming Portugal's unforgettable, historic 2-1 victory in a match that will be remembered as one of the most emotional, dramatic clashes of the World Cup.